3 seasons ago, Stockton Town began this journey outside of the Football League. Since then, we've experienced promotions, cup runs, Wembley finals, some ridiculous signings, heartbreaking defeats, and even more Football Manager chaos than I can even remember. But now, for the first time in this club's history, Stockton Town were stepping into the Football League. And things were about to get considerably more difficult. The clubs were bigger, the players were better, and the margin for error was smaller than it ever has been before. We had experienced players, completely unknown newgens, a new keeper, a completely new tactical approach, and absolutely no idea of whether it would work or not. Over the next 10 or so months, this team would experience some of the biggest matches in this club's long history. There would be cup upsets, record-breaking performances, trips to some of the biggest grounds we'd ever visited as a club, and moments that would change the entire direction of the season. After 3 seasons and 26 episodes, I feel like it's time for a change. 1 complete season, 1 entire video. This is season 4 of High Street to Glory. But before we begin, if this is your first time watching High Street to Glory, you're probably wondering how we even got here. The save started with one objective: take Stockton Town as far up the English football pyramid as it was humanly possible. We started in non-league, limited money, limited resources, and a squad that was a very long way from Premier League and Champions League and the top tiers of English and European football. But slowly, things started to change. We had players arrive, we had players leave, we had some heroes emerge through the rubble, and season by season, Stockton Town started climbing. We experienced Wembley, we won trophies, we lost players who had become massive parts of the club, but eventually, after 3 seasons, we find ourselves in the English Football League. Which brings us here, League Two. For the first time, we weren't trying to escape non-league, we were competing against established Football League sides. Clubs with bigger stadiums, bigger budgets, better facilities, and squads full of players who had already proven themselves at this level. The board's expectations were relatively straightforward. Don't get relegated. Technically they wanted to finish us somewhere in mid-table top half, and realistically I couldn't blame them with the kind of lower expectations for this season. We were newly promoted, we didn't really have an idea of how the squad would adapt, and survival would have represented progress. But after everything we'd achieved over the past 3 seasons, I wanted more than just survival. The question was just how much more this team was capable of. Before we started rebuilding the squad, however, there was one important matter to deal with, which is one of my favourite parts of any save that I ever do. Our first ever Football League kits. And this was the shirt that we'd be wearing for the majority of our first season in the Football League. The traditional Stockton Town yellow and blue remained. We had the Hummel chevrons continuing down the sleeves. Obviously the question mark sponsor across the front, if you know, you know. But there was one small difference. For the first time, there was an EFL badge on that sleeve. It might seem like a tiny detail, but after 3 seasons of trying to get here, seeing that patch on a Stockton Town shirt made the promotion feel even more real than it already has. Then we had our away kit. We try to go for something a bit different, nice red base with a couple of black designs throughout, red and black badge, black Hummel chevrons and logo with the question mark. I actually really like this kit. If Stockton Town had something like this in real life, I'd definitely 100% have it in my collection. But we've had to do it as something fairly different, as a different away kit, because normally they do have a red and black and something like that in real life, but we've made it our own for this save, and I really like it. I think we've done a brilliant job here. The kits were ready for League Two. Now we needed a system capable of getting the best out of the players while they were wearing these beautiful, beautiful kits. Tactically, I had a big decision to make. We could play it safe, become way more defensive, except that we were one of the smallest clubs in the division and completely change the way we play. Or we could do the complete opposite. So naturally, we chose the complete opposite. This was the system we were taking into League Two. On paper, essentially it was a back three, but the interesting part of this tactic was how dramatically the shape changed depending on whether or not we had the ball, essentially. In possession, we were effectively a 3-4-2-1. But without the ball, we dropped into something much closer to a 4-1-4-1 formation. The entire idea was to give us as much attacking threat as possible when we had possession, without being completely suicidal when we lost it. Whether that would actually work in League Two was another question entirely. Starting at the back, we had a back three made up of 2 outside centre-backs and a ball-playing centre-back, and this was really where everything started. The 2 outer centre-backs were given the freedom to move slightly wider and help us progress the ball, while the central defender would sit between them and give us that security in the middle. The aim wasn't just to smash the ball forward and hope Hugill could do something with it. We wanted to actually play our way through teams, which is why we were using a kind of shorter passing kind of style of play, and slightly unusually for a gegenpress system, a much lower tempo. Rather than constantly forcing the ball forward, I wanted us to be a bit more patient. Move teams around, keep possession, and wait for the right opportunity to attack. At least that was the theory. In front of the back three, there were 2 deep-lying playmakers, Tyler Fredrickson and Kia Brecken, and these 2 were massively important to how the entire system worked. They were essentially the link between everything. They needed to take the ball from the defence, find the attacking players, help us control possession, and somehow also stop us getting completely destroyed on the counter-attack. Because when you actually looked at what was happening ahead of them, they had quite a lot of work to do. On either side, we had Frankie Major and Max Burton operating as wingers, and this was where the tactics started becoming considerably more aggressive. We were playing with much wider attacking width, which meant Major and Burton were responsible for stretching the opposition as much as possible. The idea was to make the pitch absolutely massive when we had possession, force the opposition defence apart, create space through the middle, and give the rest of our attacking players more room to actually do something. We were also encouraging supporting runs down both flanks, so despite technically starting with 3 centre-backs, we still wanted to create as much attacking width as possible. And specifically considering what Max Burton went on to eventually do this season, this was going to become a pretty important part of this entire system. Then we came to possibly the most aggressive part of the entire system, the 2 shadow strikers. Behind Joe Hugill, we had 2 players whose entire job was basically just to cause chaos. They could drop deeper and help us link the midfield to the attack, but as soon as we moved forward, they would attack the space around Joe Hugill. Suddenly, instead of having 1 player in the box, we could have 3. We were encouraging the team to work the ball into the box, discouraging shots from distance, and trying to create the best opportunities possible rather than just shooting from absolutely anywhere. But at the same time, we were also giving the players a lot more creative freedom, which, considering this is Football Manager, could be absolutely brilliant or a complete disaster. And then at the top of everything was Joe Hugill. By this point in High Street's glory, Joe Hugill needed absolutely no introduction. He'd already become one of the most important players in the entire save, and once again the majority of our goal scoring responsibility was going to fall on him. This season, Joe Hugill will be operating as a channel forward in possession. The idea was to get him involved in absolutely everything, scoring goals, linking the attack, creating space for 2 shadow strikers, and giving the opposition defence a constant problem to deal with. If this tactic was going to work, we needed Joe Hugill to score goals. A lot of goals. But this was only half of the tactic, because the moment we lost possession, everything changed. The back 3 became a back 4. The 2 wide players dropped considerably deeper. One of our midfielders sat in front of the defence, and the 2 shadow strikers dropped back into midfield. Meaning our incredibly attacking 3-4-2-1 formation suddenly became something much closer to a 4-1-4-1. At least, that was what was supposed to happen. The idea was to give us more defensive stability without sacrificing the attacking threat when we had the ball back. And winning the ball back was pretty important as well. We were using a high press, a much higher defensive line, asking the defence to step up more, and triggering the press much more often. Basically, we didn't want the opposition to have a second to think about what their next move was. The moment we lost possession, the objective was to win it back as quickly as possible. Force mistakes, regain possession, and immediately start another counter-attack. Patient with the ball, absolutely manic without it. And there was one final instruction: get stuck in. Because apparently playing an incredibly high defensive line, pressing constantly and throwing players forward wasn't risky enough, we also wanted to kick people. Legally, of course, most of the time. Looking at the system as a whole, the biggest risk was obvious: space. We were playing with an incredibly high defensive line, our outside centre-backs were given freedom to move forward, our wingers were attacking, our shadow strikers were making attacking runs beyond the midfield, and the moment we lost possession we were relying on an aggressive press to stop teams breaking through us. If teams managed to beat that press, there was an enormous amount of space to attack, which means the keeper could potentially be in for a rather busy season. But after 3 seasons, there was one thing I'd learned: playing it safe was considerably less fun. So this was the plan: 3 centre-backs building from defence, 2 deep-lying playmakers controlling possession, wingers stretching the pitch, 2 shadow strikers attacking the space, Joe Hugill leading the line, shorter passing, patient build-up, aggressive pressing, a ridiculously high defensive line, and the occasional aggressive challenge. Was it sensible? Probably not. Was I going to change it? Absolutely not. But even the best tactic in the world, it was completely useless without the right players. And if Stockton Town were going to survive their first season in the Football League, we needed to strengthen considerably. The tactic was ready, the kits were ready. Now came arguably the most important part of our summer: building a squad capable of surviving League Two. Again, we didn't have millions of pounds to spend, so recruitment had to be smart. In total, we brought in 14 players for just £65. While the legendary Joey Dawson's move to Scunthorpe brought £60,000 back into the club, meaning our entire summer rebuild cost just £5,000 in theory. No pressure then. Our first rival was John Mellish. Joining on a free transfer from Wigan, Mellish brought something the squad desperately needed: Football League experience. I plan to use him in either of our 3 centre-back roles. I feel like for the League Two level, he was absolutely brilliant and just what we needed as a level-headed, experienced player at centre-back. He wasn't necessarily the most exciting of signings, but for a newly promoted club, players like John Mellish could prove invaluable. We signed 26-year-old Dom Jeffries on a free transfer from Lincoln, who were in the Championship at the time. Definitely a very, very good squad player to have, considering all the positions he can play. He can play wing-back, defensive midfielder, left and central midfielder, along with right and left attacking midfielder. He's definitely someone we want to have, especially as the season goes on, as there's many more games for us this season and we need that depth. Spaniard Mario Guiaber, I think that's how you say his name, came in from the Valencia B team. He was definitely an unknown quantity. He could play kind of straight through the middle, centre mid, attacking mid, and striker loosely. He's definitely one of them players who I didn't really know how he was going to do, but through the season he definitely was there to help build the squad number up and come on when absolutely necessary. Another player with Football League experience, Indonesian international Marcelino Ferdinand. He already played for Oxford, he knew what the Football League was about. I signed him more as a kind of fringe player, attacking midfielder and striker. He's definitely got the stats to prove himself in League Two. I just didn't know how he was going to do. We brought in Carlos Garrido from Girona B in Spain as that kind of backup striker for Joe Hugill. We needed an out-and-out striker as a backup instead of having someone who kind of is second positional as a striker. And Garrido brought in for that. He didn't play much, but when he did, he scored, and that's all we needed. We signed former Manchester United defender Jack Kingdon on a free from Cardiff. He was definitely going to be one of my main centre-backs of this season. I already had it in my head. 6'1", Scotland under-21 international, and over the course of the season he definitely proved invaluable to what the system was. and he was definitely the right man to have brought in for this team and this system as well. The only player we paid money for this summer, Keenan Goff from Birmingham. We paid £65,000 for him. Wanted to start him, but then Fredrickson and Brecken were already established in them positions. Hopefully next season he can break through a bit more. He did play a hell of a lot of games this season for us all. Chipped in with the odd goal and assist. He was pretty good on his day when he played. We also signed another centre-back, Jacob Vickers, on a free from Brighton. 22 years old, we sent him out on loan for the second half of the season. He wasn't really getting in over the three centre-backs we were playing, over Mellish, Kingdon and Terence Miles as well. We kind of just needed to get him out, get him some game time, and he's definitely performed well out on loan at Boston United. So hopefully he can come in next season, play absolutely brilliantly for us. Our biggest name, however, was Gabriel Slonina, a former Chelsea goalkeeper, an American international, and somehow a Stockton Town player. On reputation alone, this is probably the biggest signing we'd made, but reputation doesn't win matches. Now he needed to prove our faith in him. I tried to sign him towards the end of last season when he was transfer listed at Chelsea. I wanted about 60-70 grand for him, but he didn't want to join, so obviously when he went to a free transfer and how Football Manager works, that's when I got to sign him, and he was absolutely brilliant. I've got to spoil that, he was bloody brilliant. But then we came to the unknown aspect of the transfer window. Max Burton, Fred Verhagen, Lewis Hughes and Frankie Major. 4 new gens, 4 players with absolutely no history, no idea how they'd develop, and no guarantee any of them would actually be that good. Lewis Hughes joined as our new backup keeper from Manchester City on a free transfer. Definitely one for the future at 19 years old, already 6'1", very strong right foot. Got no traits at the minute, but hopefully we can develop him to have some sort of traits. Definitely commanding, definitely good communicator, good kicking, good handling, good with one-on-ones. He's got potential to be very, very good in the not-so-distant future. Fred Verhagen joined us from Chelsea, and he also has the potential to be very, very good in the not-so-distant future. Already 2.5 stars current ability at 19 years old. He plays either left mid or left attacking mid, preferably as a winger. He's fairly quick, good determination, good decision-making, good aggression and anticipation. He's definitely a player that I want to start integrating more in the coming seasons, especially with the kind of more games we'll be playing and the depth we need going up for divisions, hopefully. Max Burton, a right midfielder, central midfielder who joined us from Chelsea. He was a stud. He is a stud. Dribbling and first touch, top tier, good technique, good pace, good acceleration, good agility. He's what we need bombing up and down that left-hand side, especially for the tactic we're playing, especially for going from a 3 at the back, him playing a bit higher up, to playing a 4-1-4-1, him needing to drop back a bit further. And last but not least, Frankie Major, who we signed from Preston North End on a free transfer when he wanted to leave. Again, 3 stars of current ability. He's got good aggression, good acceleration, pace, stamina, good first touch, good technique. He can play anywhere across that left and middle. He can play at striker, central attacking mid, left attacking midfielder and left mid. He's basically the Max Burton of the right hand side, which is good because we need the same kind of player bombing up and down them flanks. But after the new gens, after everyone we'd signed, there was one more player that I need to show. If you remember, at the start of this save, we had a young man in the academy. He was 15, 16, and he became the biggest player for this club that I've possibly ever seen. He played 136 games for Stockton Town. He scored 76 goals, a smattering of assists, a smattering of Player of the Match awards, before he left to join Manchester United for £1.9 million, kind of halfway through our National League season. And when I saw that he was loan listed, I knew I had to bring him home. Ladies and gentlemen, Rio Risborough has returned to Stockton Town and will be playing in that second of the second striker positions for our first League Two campaign. It was only a matter of time before I even tried to bring him back to the club. I didn't think it would have been this soon, however. Still only 20, he made his professional debut for Manchester United. He played all them games. Now he's back where he belongs, back at home. He can live at home. He's 2 minutes away from the stadium. Don't care. this was possibly the biggest signing we made this summer. So this was the team. Hugill provided the goals, Slonina took over in goal from Dylan Thompson, Mellish brought experience, and the newgens provided the uncertainty. The board wanted survival. I wanted to find out if we could achieve something more. Our first ever League Two fixture took us away to York City, and genuinely I had no idea what to expect. We had new players, a new goalkeeper, newgens making their EFL debuts, and a system that had never been tested at this level. The opening 20 minutes would probably tell us a hell of a lot. Any early nerves, however, disappeared very quickly. We had prepared for a difficult introduction to League Two. Instead, we'd won 6-1. One result couldn't define an entire season, but it completely changed how we viewed the challenge instead. And apparently, York wasn't a one-off. Rochdale were beaten in the Carabao Cup. 4 more went past Barrow. And another 4 past Barnet. Then came our first major test, a North East derby against Sunderland at home in the first round of the Carabao Cup. Our first time in this competition against a very well-established Championship/Premier League side, at this point they're in the Championship. And a 37th minute winner from Frankie Major puts us 2-1 up over Sunderland, and that's how the game ended. We were through to the second round of the Carabao Cup. What a time, eh? After that brilliant win of the Carabao Cup first round, we beat Cambridge United 5-0 at home, then went away to Stockport and won 2-1 in the second round of the Carabao Cup, and finished off August in the league by thumping Leyton Orient 6-1 at home. Then came the biggest game we've had this season so far, with it only being in the first month. Another North East derby, this time away at Newcastle, Premier League Newcastle, in the third round of the Carabao Cup. After a Joe Hugill goal early in the second half, a Newcastle equaliser, a Terence Miles red card, and a Nick Voltemade penalty, our Carabao Cup run was over. But losing 2-1 at St James's Park wasn't exactly a reason to panic. All in all, 9 matches in August, 8 wins, 31 goals. We had arrived in League Two. The question now was whether August has been a ridiculous run of form, or whether this team was genuinely this good. A 2-0 win over Oldham Athletic away in the league started us off this month. And then an absolute thumping against Doncaster Rovers 6-1 at home in our first game in the Virtu Trophy brought us on to Port Vale. Port Vale gave us a completely different challenge. There were no 6-goal explosions, no ridiculous attacking performance, just a difficult away match. A 1-0 win against Port Vale away from home. Good result, and arguably this told me more about the team than winning 6-1 every game. Further wins against Carlisle at home. Forest Green at home. And a tight 2-1 away victory against Shrewsbury Town. Gave us 6 matches, 6 wins, and we very quickly realised August hadn't been a fluke. Until October, almost everything had gone our way. Then this happened. A 5-2 home defeat to Newcastle's under-21s in the Virtu Trophy. I just think I underestimated them. I wheeled out the kind of second team, a lot of younger players to try and get them some minutes, especially at the start, early in the season. I just think I underestimated them and we got absolutely demolished. Obviously they must have played out of their skin. A double from Carlos Garrido did not help us in any sense of the imagination. But the defeat itself wasn't the biggest concern. The response was. A 3-1 away win against a difficult Bradford side put us back on track in the league. Then it was a 3-2 home win against Walsall. Followed by another home win, this time against Southend United 4-1. A 3-0 win away at Gillingham. And our first dropped points of the season, a 1-1 draw away at Crawley. October also marked the beginning of another potential storyline, the FA Cup. We were through. A 4-1 win at home against Truro City. And while nobody knew it yet, this competition was going to become rather interesting as the season went on. November opened up with a 1-0 win at home to Doncaster Rovers, Joe Hugill scoring there. Then wins against Rotherham away. Burton away in the Virtu Trophy. And another away win against Swindon, 4-2. Then, for seemingly the first time all season, absolutely nothing happened. A 0-0 draw at home to Newport, which we followed up with a 3-1 home win against Rochdale. But by now, one team had started emerging as our biggest threat. Grimsby Town. They were hot on our tail, they hadn't lost since the third game of the season, and they seemed the only team that could actually tassel with us for the title at this point, not only promotion. But it just wasn't meant to be on this day. We lose for the first time this season in the league 2-1 away at Grimsby. Grimsby hadn't just taken 3 points, they'd proven that our lads, our Stockton Town, could be beaten. A bounce back home victory 4-2 against Fleetwood Town, and a 2-0 away win against Blackpool in the League Two trophy. We were still top, we were still winning, still scoring, but now someone was chasing us. December started off with the FA Cup, and we were drawn against Preston North End, who at this point were in League One, and obviously Frankie Major's former club. Nothing happened in this game whatsoever, which led us to our first penalty shootout in a while. Gabriel Slonina was the hero, through to the third round of the FA Cup. It wasn't pretty, but cup football doesn't ask how you survive, it only asks whether you do survive or not. For the rest of the month, wins against Chesterfield, Rochdale, Forest Green, Shrewsbury Town, Gillingham, Bradford City, and Southend United. With a 0-0 draw against Walsall just sandwiched in there. If you notice through these games, something else had started changing. Earlier in the season, we simply were just outscoring everyone. Now we were controlling games more. By Christmas, promotion was no longer an unrealistic dream. It was becoming the expectation. At the start of January, the transfer window opened and we brought in a lot more experience, should we say? We'll go with that. Boubakary Doucouré came in from Clermont Foot in France for £100,000, I think it was. He was our new main centre-back. Terence Miles was kind of slipping up through the season, so I needed to bring someone else in. A 6'4" French national, he played out of his mind for this second half of the season. I'd been monitoring him since the start of the season, but I feel like January was the right time to bring him in. Another player who we brought in, this was a sort of homecoming. Maka Langstaff, who we signed from Millwall for, I think it was £165,000. He started off his career right here at Stockton Town. He came through the academy, came into the first team, left to go over to Billingham, went to Gateshead. Obviously we know he went to Notts County and smashed the National League scoring record, then moved to Millwall for £750,000. And now he's back at Stockton Town, he's back home where he belongs. He can play pretty much either central attacking midfielder or at striker. Striker's probably his better position. He was our level-headed experienced player up front that we needed to help us cross the line over and continue this season as we have done when we started it. And our final signing of this January transfer window was Cian Ashford, a Welsh international on a free from Wolverhampton Wanderers, and he came in and completely changed the team. That's all I can say. I can't give anything away until the end of the season, but just know he completely changed everything. Replaced James Bailey as our second striker. Him and Rio Risborough linked up very, very well through the second half of the season. Speaking of Wolverhampton Wanderers, this brings us on to the biggest match of the season so far. Wolves away at Molineux, FA Cup third round. On paper, we shouldn't have really stood a chance. A mid-table Premier League side against our lowly League Two, newly promoted side. But goals from James Bailey, Max Burton, and the legend Joe Hugill Stockton Town had just knocked Wolves out of the FA Cup to go along with wins against Grimsby in the Virtue Trophy, Leyton Orient, Oxford United, and Port Vale, along with a wonderfully exciting 2-2 draw with Oldham, which they scored a 94th minute equaliser. January had strengthened the squad, extended the cup runs, and somehow made this season even more ridiculous than it already has been. February started badly. A 3-2 defeat against Carlisle away from home. 94th minute winner with a 90th minute equaliser from them as well. It just shouldn't have gone that way, but we let it happen, we switched off, and that's what happens in League Two. You get capitalised on if you switch off. But then came a massive game in the fourth round of the FA Cup, which we reached for the first time in club history, by the way, and it was against very established Championship side now, Wrexham. Obviously the Hollywood story has been going for them, they're still in the Championship, they're doing well, but was this one step too far? No, it wasn't. 5-0 at home to Wrexham. Frankie Major and Joe Hugill with 2, with Kean Ashford scoring the other. That's what you want to see, bouncing back from a defeat. Then came possibly the most Football Manager game I've seen all season. 8 goals, a Macca Langstaff hat-trick, absolutely no defending, and somehow no winner. Wins against Newport County, and a 5-0 hammering of Doncaster. Ended a chaotic February, but we were approaching the point where the season would be decided. March opens up with a familiar foe in the FA Cup 5th round. If you remember our second season of this save, we came up against Tottenham Hotspur at home in the 3rd round of the FA Cup, which we lost 3-0. Now we play them again, but this time we're a professional side, we're a League Two side, they're still high up in the Premier League, but could we take it to them a bit more than what we had a couple of seasons ago? The FA Cup run was unfortunately over, but Stockton Town had just gone toe-to-toe with established Premier League and European side Tottenham Hotspur in the FA Cup 5th round, the furthest we've ever made it. That's something to be proud of. 4 days later, however, we had another opportunity to make history. Rotherham United away in the Virtu Trophy semi-final for a place at Wembley for the 3rd time in 3 seasons. A 3-2 win, and Stockton Town were going back to Wembley. The big games are coming thick and fast because this away game against Barrow meant a hell of a lot in terms of the league table. This was it. Win, and Stockton Town were going to League One. Ladies and gentlemen, from non-league to the Football League, and now Stockton Town were promoted to League One at the first time of asking. Wins against Rotherham, and York City, and a draw against Cambridge meant that promotion was secured, but the title wasn't. So now we needed help. We needed Leyton Orient to somehow beat this very on-form Grimsby side, or at least have them drop points to somehow hand us the League Two title. Grimsby had dropped points. Stockton Town were League Two champions. As we got underway for April, one major match remained. Stockton Town, Millwall, Wembley. It's the Virtu Trophy final against a very strong, now League One side. How would we fare? League Two champions, League One bound, and now winners at Wembley for the third season in a row, and now we lift the Virtu Trophy for the first time in this club's history. After Wembley, there was one thing left to do. Finish the season properly. Cue the montage. And with everything already secured, this team refuses to stop winning. So, after 10 months, this was the final result. 46 matches, 37 wins, 7 draws, only 2 defeats. 118 points, 133 goals scored, 43 conceded, a goal difference of plus 90. Grimsby finished second, 24 points behind us. In our first season in League Two, we hadn't just won it, we'd completely destroyed it. Most goals, most shots, most dribbles, fewest shots faced, fewest goals conceded, and somehow the most yellow cards. So apparently the secret to League Two is scoring loads of goals, defending properly, and occasionally kicking 7 shades of shit out of people. Individually, this season was just as ridiculous. Joe Hugill, 30 league goals, 6 assists, 41 goals in all competitions, League Two's top goal scorer. Unbelievable for a man who we brought in on a free and has completely broken records across this entire club. But there was one player who completely stole the spotlight, Max Burton. In all competitions, 61 games, 9 goals, 30 assists, League Two Player of the Season, League Two Young Player of the Season, a new League Two assist record, a new average rating record, from a completely unknown new gen to the best player in League Two. If we look at the other players in the squad, Frankie Major, 61 games, 13 goals, 28 assists across the whole season. Brilliant from our other new gen player that we had a lot of faith in. Remember Kean Ashford, who we signed in January? Well, he played 16 games, scored 14 goals and got 5 assists in the half season that he was here. If he's doing that in only half a season, imagine what he's going to do in a full season next season. Maka Langstaff didn't really have a lot of time to shine, but when he played absolutely brilliantly. In 15 games, when he first joined, he scored 5 goals and got 3 assists, 7.80 average rating. Not the worst in the world for a player who hit 32 years old this season. John Mellish, our new centre-back who we signed at the start of the season from Wigan, 62 games, 5 goals, 9 assists, 7.08 average rating. He was a rock at the back and contributed to our new defensive record in League Two. A man who's been with us for a few seasons now, Cian Brecken, 58 games played, 7 goals, 8 assists from that defensive midfield position. He is our ticking time bomb in midfield. A 7.1 average rating. He has been brilliant alongside Tyler Fredrickson throughout this entire season, especially last season as well when we came up from the National League. And our number one, Gabriel Slonina, 62 games played, 57 goals conceded, 24 clean sheets. He has been a rock at the back for us, and again, like Mellish, contributed to the best defensive record in League Two. And to go along with all of that, we won Manager of the Season, which was fairly expected after only losing 2 games all season and winning the league the way we did. A new points record with 118, fewest defeats in the league season with 2. Everything clicked, the signings worked, the new gens exploded onto the scene, Hugill scored for fun, Max Burton became the best player in League Two, Slonina and the defence kept teams out, and Stockton Town produced the greatest season in this club's history. 118 points, 133 goals, 2 league defeats, League Two champions, winners at Wembley, FA Cup 5th round, promoted to League One, a Golden Boot winner, a Player of the Season winner, a Young Player of the Season winner, records broken, history made. But now comes the difficult part. League One, bigger clubs, bigger budgets, better players, and probably considerably more paid. Stockton Town are no longer a non-league fairy tale, we're a League One club. So the question is, how much further can we go? If you enjoyed this new full season format, let me know in the comments. I've really enjoyed putting this together. I'm like genuinely giddy about how this is going to turn out as I'm recording this, so let me know what you think in the comments. Subscribe if you're new, leave a like if you enjoyed. If you missed any of the other episodes from the past 3 seasons that we've done, please go back and watch them. I'll leave a link to the iCard in the description where the playlist is. Follow me on TikTok as well, there's a lot more Football Manager content over there. Daily posts, daily everything. Go and watch, go and follow. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you for Season 5.